Hello, Palo Alto. Today is Friday, October 9th, 2020, and In Focus starts right now.
Embarcadero Road. Walk sign is on the crossing.
Welcome to In Focus. I'm Jason Goldie. It seems like we're going to be getting some much needed rain this weekend, so be sure to go outside if you can for a few moments and enjoy it. Our first story of the day is a bit on a similar note. In Focus reporter Ellie Roth talks to a solar cell specialist about solar energy and how the future of the industry is heading. Here's more.
Our planet is a beautiful place, but global warming is a silent killer. James Cook, a Palo Alto resident, works with solar energy, and he has some ideas about why it's so important in the fight to end climate change in our community and in the world.
I'm a solar power plant developer, so we build large-scale solar power plants. They're like massive solar arrays.
James and his team work on these solar arrays to improve the planet's health.
So it's really great because what it does is allow you to produce electricity without causing any emissions. And so the problem with climate change is too much carbon emissions, and by doing solar you don't have to have any emissions.
It's easy to forget about climate change and these carbon emissions when the world seems normal and you don't notice any differences. But the truth is, now we're starting to see the effects that climate change is taking a toll on our planet. And James has some to explain about how that affects Palo Alto.
I think anyone who goes to school at Pali knows what it's like for climate change because they saw how weird the weather was a few weeks ago on that Wednesday where it was all orange and dark. So to me that's like the sign of what's happening with climate change. You get more fires, less rain, hotter temperatures, and all that leads to bad things for all of us. Part of what that's caused by is by having so much carbon emissions, and so by producing electricity through solar panels, we reduce the amount of carbon that will be in the air.
What are people in the solar industry, such as James Cook, doing to fight the fossil fuel emissions, you might ask?
Developing solar power plants, it's really a great way to fight climate change in a really big way. When we build a solar facility, the size of the arrays are about as big as the entire Stanford campus. So imagine going from Page Mill Road to Sand Hill Road. If you covered all of that in solar panels, that's about what the power plants is that we create each year. It can be a great thing for the economy. So think about like the business that I work at, Candela Renewables. We've been able to make money adopting more solar, putting more solar panels out in different parts of the country. There's a lot of jobs in the solar industry. There's a lot of jobs in the auto industry, especially now with putting in electric cars like with Tesla. And people start to see the economic benefits of doing things to fight climate change. I think that also might drive them to take more action.
Palo Alto happens to do a good job on reducing the carbon emissions in our community. Here are a few ways how.
Yeah, so Palo Alto does a great job on energy and clean energy. So there's two main things. One is the electricity that we buy from the grid that Palo Alto uses in our houses. The city of Palo Alto decided a few years ago to only do solar and wind or other carbon-free sources of electricity. So that's a fantastic change for all of us just during your lifetime. And the second thing is some people have put solar panels on their roof. And so if you have a roof that doesn't have a lot of trees in front of it, or if you own your own house, you can choose to put solar on your house. And so that's a really great way to get cleaner energy. And the city is very supportive of that as well. So those are the two main ways that the city has done a great job in doing more for renewable energy than just about any place in the world.
According to James, solar energy has decreased exponentially in price.
So when you guys were in kindergarten, the solar was the most expensive form of electricity. Now solar electricity is the cheapest form of electricity in California. And so the difference has gone from, what it used to be, and to about 1/10 of what it used to be when you guys were kids.
In 2011, fossil fuels supplied 82% of the world's energy. In 2020, it has increased to 84%. If we continue at this rate, there will be consequences.
So the problem is that you've got a lot of existing old power plants that are up and running that people don't want to shut down. And from a coal plant can cause asthma or other breathing problems for kids. And so I think there's a lot of things that we can do about getting rid of the old power plants and maybe getting rid of them sooner rather than later and replacing them with wind and solar.
Climate change might be scary, but the only way to face it is not to run, but to fight.
Worse hurricanes, worse fires, hotter temperatures, all that stuff is very obvious. We all need to take action. Planting trees, eating more vegetables, driving less or driving a clean vehicle or using clean energy. Just pick out a few of those and start doing them, and you'll feel better and you'll be fighting climate change. Because we really do need to do something now. And if we all do that, if we take that approach of taking action, then I think we can fight climate change.
Thank you. I'm Ellie Roth with In Focus.
Thanks for that, Ellie. Another service the City of Palo Alto provides are libraries. Anish Tiwari guides us through how both school and city libraries are bridging barriers presented by COVID-19 to provide services through the pandemic.
Libraries are essential resources for both the Pali and greater Palo Alto communities. Besides lending out books, libraries provide free Wi-Fi and research materials, as well as run workshops and other community events. Seema Thomas, one of 3 Pali librarians, describes her job pre-COVID.
It's a really fun job because I get to work with all the different groups on campus. I think through the day, we just had lots of students coming through and using the space. We even had other teachers come in and find a little place to sit and do work so that they were kind of out with the students. The principal would do that from time to time. So it just felt like a natural sort of hub of campus.
Although Pali is currently virtual, Thomas aims to invite authors to speak to students this year, as well as continue Pali's Quarantine Book Club. She also encourages students to reach out to her.
Always my favorite part of being the librarian has been that moment of helping students find a book that they then enjoy. So I still would love to help Pali students find books. So if you're unsure of what you want to read, I have Zoom office hours on Wednesdays. I could, Zoom with you another time. Or if you just are interested in a book that we don't have, send me a message and I can get the book.
The City of Palo Alto Community Center has also had to think of new ways to operate classes and events. Jasmine LeBlanc, Assistant Director of the Community Services Department, explains how COVID-19 has affected these in-person classes and events.
The things that we've been doing are a variety of virtual classes and camps. The state guidance does not allow any gatherings, and for good reason. We don't think it would be safe to have crowds gathering together like they normally do with special events. We can create fun experiences for the community that are still safe during this COVID pandemic. The Art Center, for instance, has 2 outdoor courtyards. There's 8 people maximum allowed, and each person has their own table. Each person has all their own equipment and supplies, and they're sitting in tables that are pretty spread apart with their masks on, with the teacher way up front.
The department is still keeping the community spirit this Halloween.
The thing we're hoping to do is develop a Halloween jack-o'-lantern stroll. And that's an opportunity where people can carve a pumpkin. Anyone can carve a pumpkin. And then we'll have a space for you to put it on display. Along with a whole bunch of other people in the community.
Community Services has many opportunities to volunteer.
We operate 4 different youth leadership groups, and the library has a 5th. That's a really wonderful opportunity for teens to engage all year long with community services and library.
Students interested in checking out Pali Library books should visit the Pali Library website found on their Rapid Identity portal. For In Focus, I'm Anish Tiwari.
That does it for today's show. Be sure to check out our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch previous content, follow us on Instagram to engage with our content, and follow our Twitter for updates and breaking news. Until next time, I'm Jason Goldie, and this has been In Focus.